wish I had hit start recording when you had said that and not after you'd said that. You want to repeat
I said,
what you said?
I just said, let's get started.
I liked it. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Welcome back to Pixel Perfect Podcast. I'm Paige.
I'm Aaron.
Um,
And we lied to you about the topic.
We did. We lied super hard, which is so funny. We never have a plan. Like, we're so bad at having a plan ahead of time, and like literally we'll record and be like, okay, like what are we doing next time? And then this time we were like, we have a month or more planned of episodes, and then we were like, just kidding, something else came up. We're gonna do that instead.
It just happened to be I guess Paige knew about it, but I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I failed super
the movie
hard.
Palm Springs.
I literally kept checking Hulu for it, and then was like, oh, finally it came out. And then you were like, I wish we had known about Palm Springs. And I was like, shit, we do a podcast.
Yeah, so luckily we ended up watching it on the same weekend, basically by accident, and then now we're just doing it because we felt like it.
Super convenient.
So we're doing Palm Springs, which is a Hulu movie, but we were going to talk a little bit about the Ubisoft Forward, specifically the Assassin's Creed stuff for our news items. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I watched like a couple of YouTubers gameplay videos. I didn't really have a lot of thoughts because it looks very much like a traditional Assassin's Creed game. Very happy they're sticking with the theme of letting you choose whether or not you want to play as a guy or girl. Because, like, there's been too many Assassin's Creed games with just dudes, alright? We're over dudes. We need females.
Yeah. Sorry, before we get into Valhalla, can I say something totally unrelated but also related?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I watched the Ubisoft Forward live, and there was this trailer for that new game Hyperscape. Have you heard about it?
Maybe.
Yeah. And it looked really, really cool at first, and I thought that it was, because I'd never heard of it before, and I thought that it was like a third-person or first-person shooter with a story, and then I found out that it is just an open world battle royale, and I was so incredibly disappointed because it looked really cool, and then it turned out to be a battle royale, and I was like,
so over battle royales. They need to die.
I don't understand it. I don't understand why everything in the world has to be battle royale right now.
It's so bad.
So yeah, that was my related but unrelated thing.
It was a worthy addition.
Thank you.
Have you ever played an Assassin's Creed game or like watched people play it?
I tried playing Assassin's Creed 1, which is interesting because some of the gameplay of Valhalla actually kind of harkens back to Assassin's Creed 1 with like the blending in and everything. It's true. But like there wasn't too much of that kind of blending in with people in like the more recent one whose name is currently escaping me. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a little bit more like you just were like, fuck it, I'm gonna punch everyone kind of thing.
Yeah. Playing Assassin's Creed 1, I did not like it. And then I never played an Assassin's Creed again.
I played like a good chunk of it. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't super into that type of game back then. I don't know. I actually really enjoyed Odyssey, but I only played it for like 5 hours and then like totally forgot about it. So clearly it didn't hold my attention very well. But I'm excited about Valhalla. I like Norse mythology and the Viking concept.
What do you think of being able to dual wield shields?
That is
Did you see that?
No. Are you kidding me?
They made it so that you can pretty much dual wield literally anything, including dual wielding 2 shields.
I mean, I've seen people pull it off in Dark Souls. It doesn't sound totally horrible. That is fascinating, huh?
Yeah, and it's a little Assassin's Creed Stardew Valley edition, because the whole point is to like raid people to get resources to like build up your society.
That's
and
lovely.
I don't remember, the word isn't escaping me right now, but like you get resources to basically build your little farm village thing. And I was a bit like, when I saw that, I was like, so Fallout, kind of, sort of. But yeah, I called it Assassin's Creed Stardew Valley Edition.
Gotcha. The farming simulator genre is just really taken over, apparently. I was also kind of bummed out. Like, I don't know if this is final, but I know it's coming out soon. But I didn't think they did it. Like, the graphics didn't seem very updated compared to Odyssey. And I was like, I feel like we're beyond this level of graphics here.
I mean, they always come with that big disclaimer of like, this is not finished yet.
Yeah.
So it might be that,
I guess we'll have to
but
see.
we'll have to see. And then it's also going to look different depending on like if you're on a PS5 than a PS4 probably.
That's true, or if you're like on PC.
Yeah. So I feel like it's going to look really damn pretty on the PS5.
Probably, yeah. But yeah. No, I think I'd be interested in playing that and talking about it in an episode. So y'all can keep your eye out for that and potentially November if the leaks are correct. Wait, did
No,
they confirm?
they confirmed it.
Okay.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they confirmed November 17th. So it wasn't a
Cool.
super leak since it was like the day before. And I guess it
That's
was
not
the
so bad.
Italian Instagram that leaked it.
Whoops.
And then
Italy is too
immediately
meta in the
deleted the
game.
post, but it was too late. It was too late.
Whoopsie. Oh man. Well, jumping into the main part of the episode, I'm gonna let Aaron lead this train because I feel like I'm just gonna be like this the whole time.
Yeah, so Palm Springs is I'm looking off at my notes in case anyone's wondering on YouTube. So it came out on the 10th. It's from Hulu. So it stars Andy Samberg, Kristen Milioti, and it's got a pretty decent part from J.K. Simmons. And it was actually premiered at the Sundance Film Festival.
Mhm.
And it sparked a bidding war that resulted in a record-setting $17.5 million.
Yeah, I read about that right before we started filming, and I was like, wow, that's nuts.
Yeah. So, and it was I'm gonna pronounce this name wrong, but it was I think Andy Ciara.
That's how I've been saying it when I was reading it. Yeah.
Is the writer, and I guess he worked on the script when he was in college, and then later on with the film's director, who was Max Barbacow. They went to school together, and this is his first film.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this is his first movie
Wow,
as a
impressed.
director. Yeah, it's really, really well done for somebody who's
Wow.
like it's their first film.
Did Andy Samberg did he produce or anything at all, or did he just
Yes.
star in it? Oh, okay. I was gonna say
No, yeah,
definitely
he
had
produced
like
it.
Lonely Island vibes.
Yeah. Well, that's because it was produced by the Lonely Island.
Oh, for
like
real?
the company. Yes. Like I don't remember. Yeah, it was produced by the Lonely Island Trio, like their company.
That is
So when
makes so much sense.
Yeah. Like I remember when I'm watching the movie and the Lonely Island came up, and I was like,
oh, I totally missed
have
that.
they developed this far that they're just like
They do a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. But I always think about them from SNL days because that was when I met them was through SNL.
Yep.
So I always think about like jizz in my pants.
Oh my god.
When I think of the Lonely Island.
Or like I'm on a boat. Ugh,
Yeah. Yeah.
the worst.
So those are two very different examples, but really show the Lonely Island's range.
Yeah. They're pretty impressive. I have to tell a quick story.
Sure.
I've never done this before, but like I didn't know anything about the plot before I watched the movie. I literally saw Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti were in it, and I was like, I'm game, I'm in. And I was like, can't wait to watch this. I like both these people a lot because she was in How I Met Your Mother and was just criminally underused in the end of that show. Like she was great.
Part of How I Met Your Mother, yeah.
Right. So I was like, this will be fun. I'm not really sure what it's about. And then the freaking like 10 minutes in, and you're like, what is this batshit crazy movie I'm watching?
Yeah, so let's start off with Palm Springs I think definitely we both recommend just going in blind to this movie. Right? Do you agree with that? Yeah.
Do not look up anything about it. So if you haven't watched it, you should go watch it right now.
Yes. Watch it and then come back because it's definitely worth your time. It's definitely worth watching, but it's the best if you go in blind. So, which it sounds like we both kind of did. I knew roughly that there was some Groundhoggy Day stuff going on, but I didn't know.
I knew nothing at all.
Yeah. So that was all I knew going in.
Yep.
I'm very tired, you guys. I'm like half not here.
It's gonna be okay.
We're gonna make it through.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. At least this is always fun. It's never like a thing where I come in and I'm like, ugh, I have to record today.
Like doing homework.
It's always like yeah, this is gonna be fun. Like, and I was really excited about this episode too because I was just like watching it and I was like, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the thing, okay, so synopsis first, I guess. It's about a guy named Niles who gets stuck in a time loop where he's on doing the same wedding over and over again with his shitty girlfriend, and then he hooks up with Kristen Milioti, and the opening scenes are just like the greatest.
Just
But yeah,
perfect.
she gets stuck in the time loop with him, and then they just end up kind of it's definitely a romantic comedy. They kind of end up falling in love as it goes on, and they kind of figure out the time loop. And at one point, J.K. Simmons, who's Roy, who also gets sucked in the time loop at one point, just keeps trying to murder Andy Samberg's character Niles. So that's fun.
Which you're
Is the
introduced
opening.
to that concept in the best way. Like you just like fucking about to go to Bone Town in the middle of the desert and see Andy Samberg just gets shot in the back with an arrow and is like, Roy, you sick bastard. Just perfect cinema.
It's good. And Andy Samberg just like running through the desert with his boxers on, and you're just kind of just like, okay. And the crazy part is, especially if you go in blind, you have absolutely no fucking clue what's going on.
Oh yeah.
I think that the most interesting thing this movie does is brings you into the story after Niles has already been doing this like countless times.
Yeah, like years probably.
Yeah. Like, and I just think that's interesting. We normally see the beginning of the story in terms of how it starts, but in this time we're in Sarah's POV as she gets pulled into it as a secondary character, secondary person in the time loop.
Yep.
And Niles has been doing it for forever and is there to actually explain to her kind of what's going on.
Right.
Which I think is really clever.
I liked it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, because it gives us like a character through which to look at stuff and through which to kind of relate through, and especially because it's always a good idea, depending on your premise, to have a character who doesn't know things, so that a character can explain things and it doesn't sound like, basically can explain things to the audience without sounding ridiculous.
Right.
So Andy Samberg is able to explain things to the audience, and we can learn through Sarah's POV without having to like get it like, and Andy Samberg's able to deliver it in a really clever and funny way.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I don't know, a narrator.
Right. And it's like it does a good job of doing that where you have the person who doesn't know, so you get to explain things, but also this is like a break from your typical time loop plot, I feel like, because you don't jump in with a person who's already in the time loop, so you get to skip all the tropes of the person discovering the time loop crap for the first time.
And or do it in a much more condensed way, I think, in a much faster way. But also just to have somebody in there with you is also kind of a subversion of the time travel trope, of the time loop trope, I should say, is to have somebody else going through it. And then also J.K. Simmons. So I guess 3 people going through it.
Yeah. You have like your buddy and then your enemy for some reason.
And then J.K. Simmons is such an interesting character because he shows up in the first 10 minutes as like this absolutely crazy guy in camo gear as he literally hunts down Niles with a hunter bow.
Yep.
But like at the same time, you know, he's this guy with a wife and kids who's really angry because he can't see his kids grow up now. Do you know what I mean? And there's just, which is something like I didn't expect when we went into it.
Yeah, it's a unique point of view.
So I just feel like the writing was really, really clever.
It was.
In places.
I was laughing my ass off throughout that entire movie. Like I was just like, this is phenomenal. And I actually was kind of impressed because usually I like Andy Samberg and most of the stuff he does. Like I'm a big fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But in his movies in the past, he can kind of go overboard with like the goofy persona he has sometimes, and it's a little too much for me. But I feel like he did well in this movie.
I feel like he thinks that he has to. So, like, I watched an interview about how he feels like he cannot do dramatic parts, which I emphatically disagree with, having seen, you know, some of the stuff he can do. But, like, so this script, what he talked about was in this script was that he felt like there was enough comedic stuff that he could hold on to. And the dramatic scenes he thought he could basically pull off. But he very much doesn't think that he can do dramatic roles. I think he very much thinks that he's just stuck in the comedic thing.
That's a bummer.
So, and like, it was funny because I was watching Kristen Milioti and she was just like, I'm just going to disagree with you. She was like, I think you're great in dramatic roles. Like, I don't understand why you think that you're not. So I think that Andy Samberg kind of gets, I don't know. I was going to say typecast, but I guess he's just like typecasting himself really more than getting typecast by other people.
A lot of things he stars in, he's also creating. So he's kind of like doing it to himself. but
And I think, well, he talked about how he gets scripts all the time that he just doesn't feel like he has the chops to pull off,
well, that's a
which
bummer.
makes me wonder what we could have seen from Andy Samberg if Andy Samberg had more faith in his dramatic
Right? Oh
acting.
my god. What a world.
I know. So, um, so I mean, we could talk about the writing some more. So I'm interested in kind of what you think of the point of the film, like what they're trying to say, like the theme and the message. Because I was really interested in kind of what the movie was trying to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't yeah. I feel like I have not clear thoughts on that because I feel like it's like a rom-com and it's so like there's like a commentary on relationships and like what makes a good relationship, but there's like I don't know, there's so little time I feel like dedicated at the end to like I didn't come like walk away with it feeling like, "Oh, there's a clear message." But like I saw this in a review I read that one of the things they one of the lines they felt like nailed kind of what the movie was going for was, oh, did Kristen say it or did Andy say it when she was like, "We're already sick of each other. It's the best." And I was like, that seems like the clincher for the movie, but I don't know how to articulate why I feel that way.
Another review that was talking about how the point, because there's that whole conversation where she's like, nothing matters, I can treat people like shit, basically, and he's like, actually, no, you can't. What we do still matters, like what
Mm,
we do to people. It's the same way he was talking about how pain is still real.
yeah,
Like you can die, but the pain is still there. You still have to
right,
suffer through what it feels like. And I almost feel like they're going for some sort of bigger life message about what it's like to live in reality. And I just feel like that's part of the whole thing with Andy Samberg's thing at the end, where he's like, we could not leave. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
right,
Like, do you really want to stay stuck here where nothing can happen
right.
and where you're just forced to do the same thing over and over again? And there's like this, I feel like there's this message of like having to grow up and move on and go and like learn things, especially because there's that whole thing where she thinks that if she's selfless for a day, she can move on.
Mm,
And then the movie's like,
nope.
nope, you cannot. And then it's almost like she has to learn and better herself legitimately
Hmm.
before they can actually get out, which for her just means one, dealing with the fact that she slept with her sister's fiance.
Yep.
And then two, just like, just seems to be like learning a hell of a lot of shit
Yeah.
and just being like, I'm going to get out of here by my own merit kind of deal.
Right. I can see that. It's kind of like,
Those were all of my thoughts in one giant
like
bleh.
when Niles is being like, no, we should stay. It's kind of like because he says that thing about like, do you really want to deal with the aftermath of like what you did or like what's going to happen tomorrow? Whereas it's like they have to move on out of this time loop to accept that they have to cope with the consequences of their actions.
Like that a lot, actually. The idea of like you have to deal with your shit
Yeah.
before you can actually. Yeah, I like that a lot. Sorry, I'm just thinking. This movie really got to my academic brain.
That's good.
Like this is what happens in my academic brain where just a million thoughts whirl all the time. And then I have to, because of course, when you're an academic, you have to boil it down to an argument
Yeah, yeah.
and then boil it down further because usually you're trying to make 3 arguments in one paper.
Oh my god. Ugh. Pass.
Well, it's like in graduate school, papers are like 15 to 20 pages. But the thing is, you have to have one core argument that you're basically making.
For 15
So it has to
pages?
be, yeah, but it has to, like, because you're going like super in depth and basically
Okay.
making a bunch of mini arguments to get to the big argument.
Gotcha. Okay.
Grad school is hell, ladies and gentlemen, but
Mm.
boy, did I love it.
Aaron is an academic masochist.
Yes, correct.
You said a thing about her merit and like her learning because that was something that really both me and Brendan were like so happy that they included that is he was like, see, this is what I would do with immortality or a time loop is like I would learn shit and find a way to get out. Like nobody does that. Like just the fact that she freaking learns like quantum mechanics and physics and that stuff and is like I'm gonna find a way the fuck out of here.
Like, she's just like, "Through the power of learning."
Yeah.
And then it's one of my favorite moments when she's on the call with that guy, and she's just, like, arguing with him, and he's just like, "It seems like you don't need me."
Yeah.
Which is, fun fact, he was the science guy, behind the film.
Oh, really?
And then he was a science correspondent for Screen Junkies.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So yeah, I found that out by watching Dan Murrell's video, who has broken away from Screen Junkies and now has his own YouTube channel.
Mhm.
So, which is decent. I don't think he works as well if he doesn't have somebody to riff off of. But you have no idea who Dan Murrell is, do you?
No, is that the one who did
I'm
Train
just
with
like,
Dan?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's the same guy. So,
I didn't think they would have consulted anyone about science. I just assumed it was a whole bunch of hokey that they made up, and I was like, it was fun. They blew their
and
way out of a time loop.
turns out that they actually had this big giant speech that went on and on and on about explaining the deeper science of what they were trying to do. But I guess all of their feedback was like, the speech is great, you got to cut it.
Oh no.
So they ended up cutting out a big speech that she makes that it kind of explains everything. And there
Yeah.
was this review I read that was basically like, when it comes to science fiction, the more vague the answers, the better, because otherwise people are going to tear it apart.
That's so
So
true.
it was basically to their benefit that they kind of just went.
I think it would have
There is
given
science,
it would have
but
stagnated the movie too. Like it would have been like a weird break in pace because like if it's at the end when you're like escalating things, trying to get them to out of there into a conclusion, like you don't want to stop and hear a scientific explanation of how blowing themselves up is going to break the time loop.
like their point, I think it was that this was like, yeah, great job slowing down your own movie.
Mm-hmm.
Stop doing that.
Yep.
And then I just think that. So I wrote down something that I'm trying to remember what it means. But what I wrote down was how Sarah sort of carries the story, 2 points in time loop, timeline / stages. What does that mean?
You got me. I had that moment earlier today. I had like a calendar notification in my work calendar that was like a reminder, but I think I had set it for myself like months ago for a thing that I wouldn't forget. But I was so vague in the reminder that I just stared at it like I don't know what I meant by this. I hope it wasn't
Did you figure it
important.
out?
Nope.
I will come back to that. But another thing that I was kind of reading about / thinking about was this idea that they get to be really kind of messy and genuine together, and that's kind of it's not really a movie that's out about them overly being shits at people who are like complete shit, like overly shitty people, or about people who are perfect. It's like really it feels really genuine as you're watching it, that these feel like real people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Who like screw up and make mistakes and are sometimes assholes, but fundamentally good people who are just trying to like do things.
Yeah, and the chemistry really works too. Like you feel like
Yes.
you're watching friends fall in love with each other, and it's great.
Yeah, and then it's just interesting though the sex scene works where they're just like, "Hey, we should get this over with," and he's like, "Okay."
I was like, that's so accurate.
What did you think of the revelation that they had hooked up, that he didn't tell her they had hooked up multiple times before?
I feel like she got over it faster than I would have. Like,
Okay.
I feel like if that were me, that would have really stuck with me. Although then again, that I guess they separate for a while after that, and who knows how many days went by of her reliving that day to learn. So like, it could have been like a year, and she could have gotten over it. So
It's fair. They really do. I think the movie does a really great job of perhaps intentionally messing with how much time has passed. Like in terms of like, you don't know, they don't know, nobody knows how much time has actually gone by since he entered, since she entered. You know what I mean?
Right.
So by the time they get out, who knows how long it's been.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have no concept of that.
Right.
So, and the acting is really, really spot on.
Oh my god. It's
like
fantastic.
Everybody's good.
So like, I do have one complaint, and I don't know if this is just the way Camila Mendes is, but like I feel like that woman has no emotion in her face ever. And like when Sarah's finally giving like a nice speech to her and she just looks like she's totally blank faced, and I'm like, wouldn't you be like kind of emotional that your shitty sister is saying something really nice about you? But I'm like, you just have this normal half smile you've had the entire movie.
She did pretty well during the scene when she has to smell the pillow and finds out that
That's true.
she cheated.
The teeth scene was good too.
I don't really think the script expects too much of her.
That's fair.
So, because I've seen her in Riverdale.
Oh God, why would you do that to yourself?
Because there was a season where it was okay. So you know how CW show works. They're good for a season or
That's
two, and then
true.
they fall completely apart.
That's totally true. The time I committed to Vampire Diaries is embarrassing.
So, I was never really a fan, but I stuck it out for the first season,
Mhm.
and she's okay. Like, she's not terrible. I
Mhm.
wouldn't call her amazing, but I wouldn't call her, and I wouldn't call her a miscast either. I think she works pretty well in her part.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So, but yeah, I don't think the script really cares about her.
That's fair.
I don't think the script really cares about anyone except maybe J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, that's true. Although whoever they cast to play Niall's girlfriend, holy God, I loved her. She was so funny.
Misty? I think it
Yeah,
was Misty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, that
And I
scene
just
where he's
love
like talking at the same time as her, and she's just freaking out.
I think I love it too when she's like, "Are you cheating on me?" And he's like, "No, you're cheating on me." And she's like, "What?"
And he just says it so pleasantly too. He's like, "No, you're cheating on me, silly." And she's like, "Okay."
I wonder if she cheated on him before then, though. I wondered through the movie if she was like a perpetual cheater or if she just like cheated that night
That's a good
or
question.
like, yeah. So I was wondering because when she says like what, I was always wondering if it was a what of like I haven't cheated yet or like a what of
Like
like
maybe she's
you
thinking
know.
about it, kind of thing, or yeah.
Yeah, I don't know,
Hmm.
but yeah, she was also well done.
Yep.
Um, and I just think one thing that Dan Muriel said in his review that I thought, oh, we have to go back to that, but sorry, 'cause this kind of goes into the filmmaking a little bit, um, where it was written and cut and edited very well in a way that made it so that they were living the same day over and over again, but it was always interesting and never really got repetitive.
Yeah. Yep.
Because there were always small changes going on and there were always new things happening. So even though you were watching the same day over and over again, you never got bored.
Right.
You were never like, we've seen this.
Yeah. And I think they did a good job of that too. I think I read that in a similar review where they were like, it kind of breaks away from the norm because they both realize they're stuck in a time loop. So they're like, man, we can just fuck off and not go to this wedding. And so they kind of have like little different adventures in different places. So it gives the film like a lot to work with.
Just remember when that part comes in where they explode the bomb over the cake, where he's like, "Don't eat the cake. There's a bomb in the cake."
Oh yeah.
And then they blow it up. I just remember turning to Cody and be like, "You have to be really confident that you'd wake up the next day in the same day. Like you'd have to be really
Yeah.
confident that time wouldn't continue." Which I guess after countless times, obviously you would be, but like
Right.
eventually, I mean, I'd always be paranoid when you're like taking a bomb out of a cake, quote unquote.
Hmm.
That it would have to be like, oh, and then
That
when
would be the
she,
one day that it's finally over.
yeah, when she falls and like when Talia falls and her teeth just like go.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that entire scene I'm just watching and I'm just like, oh my god. But yeah. So I think that it was a really well made film.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
So you can see why it inspired a bidding war just because because I can't imagine its budget was that high.
It's 5 million.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was it.
Fucking hell. It's a really pretty well shot movie for
Yeah.
$5 million.
Absolutely.
Like the filmmaking is pretty impeccable for $5 million.
Yeah. And
And so it makes sense that it sparked a bidding war.
I think they did legit film it in Palm Springs. Like I think they were able to do it on location.
That would help.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just like still getting over the $5 million thing. I mean, I I knew, like, objectively that it couldn't be a lot, especially because it only sold for, like, 17.5 million, which is a lot for Sundance Film Festival, but it's obviously a pittance compared to, like, every usual movies.
Yeah.
But, like, $5 million. I'm just wondering what the breakdown was. How much of that went to Andy Samberg, J.K. Simmons, and Kristen
That's a
Milioti?
good question.
I wonder if I can find that.
I think I
Um,
briefly saw the total on Wikipedia.
Google always makes me confirm I'm not a robot now that I have a VPN. It's really mad at me. It's like, what is this bullshit?
Like, why are you doing this to me?
Because it gets confused because I'm coming from different IP addresses, I think,
Oh,
is
okay.
the way it works. So,
It's like,
I
how
don't know,
dare you?
basically. Why is it keep alright. Paige, talk about something while I try and get through 80 million things.
I wanted to talk about. So when the movie was nearing the end and when it was turning out that they were going to get out of the time loop via an explosion that may or may not work, I was convinced it was going to end on a cliffhanger. Like, I thought the kiss with the explosion was going to be the final scene and they were going to do that bullshit thing movies like to do where they leave you not knowing what happened. But then the fact that we actually got a succinct, clear ending, like we know what happened and that they were successful, I was like, yay, finally!
Yeah, and I think too that the moment was really, really clever, and I liked because the question that Cody had when we first finished was like, "Well, what the fuck happened to J.K. Simmons? They just fucking left him there?"
Yeah, that is a
And
good
then to find out
question.
that and to find out that she called him and was like, "Yeah, we're trying to do this," and he just didn't make it in time. Is
Oh, I totally missed that. I don't know how I missed that. No, you froze! What is happening?
oh,
Hello? I hear a voice.
I can hear you. Can
You're
you not
back.
hear me?
You're
Yeah.
moving.
Yay! Yeah, my internet dropped.
Oops.
Sorry.
Bad internet.
I know. I apologize to everyone. What's the last thing you heard?
I was telling you that I missed that she called Roy and that he didn't make it, and then I didn't hear your response to that.
So, because when he walks up to Andy Samberg, the line he says is, "I got your message from your girlfriend."
Walks up to what?
Remember at the ending when he walks up to Niall's character at the wedding, and Niall turns around and says, "Did you not see that scene?"
I'm so confused. What? Was there like a
Okay.
post-credit scene?
Yeah, I think there might have been because
What?
I don't remember if it was actually post credit, but there's this scene that's okay. So at the end, Niles is at the wedding. J.K. Simmons walks up to him and says, "Hey, I got the message from your girlfriend that we're trying to get out of here," or whatever it was. And Niles is like, "Do I know you?" Because it's like Niles out
Oh my
of
god! No, I missed that
you.
entirely.
You have to go back and watch it. So
Poor
yeah, she tries to
Roy.
call J.K. Simmons
That's
and they miss
awful.
it. But he kind of like smiles at the end. So I wonder if he's just like, "All right, I guess it worked. So now I can do it myself."
I mean,
You
I
know what I
hope they
mean?
left him instructions or something. Jesus.
Yeah.
Dude's not gonna watch his
So,
kids grow up.
but it was actually really interesting to kind of see because there's so many videos on about explaining the ending of Palm Springs,
hmm
which I'm assuming has to do with the fact that Niles doesn't know who he is and doesn't
Yeah.
remember all of the stuff in this timeline or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was a what was I gonna say? Yeah, so people are trying to explain the ending, and I'm like, can you just enjoy the ending
Yeah, I feel like there's not much to
and just
explain.
like, did it work?
It did. Right.
Okay, coolio. I apologize to everyone for my technical difficulties.
It's okay.
In my defense, recording during a pandemic is very difficult.
Yes, everyone's internet is shit right now, so I think they should understand.
Man, I'm gonna have to call Comcast and be like, "Hey, I pay you an exorbitant amount of money. Can you not drop my internet every 30 seconds,
Yeah.
please?"
What how much what is your speed?
600.
Oh, okay.
So, which is a lot, and I'm kind of just like,
We have a gig.
I mean, you're just special. I don't know what to tell you.
We don't get a gig though. Like it's definitely a scam.
Well, that's what I mean. It's
Yeah,
bullshit. Like you
it's
don't.
you get like half of what you pay for. It's BS. But then if you like downgrade, like you try to pay for less, you're just gonna get half of whatever your downgrade is. So it's like not worth it. There's a cat. Everyone tune into YouTube for a
Cameo
cat.
cameo of Daenerys.
She's great.
She gets very upset when I talk to computer screens.
Yeah, Pixel does the same thing. I would show her off, but she's afraid of rain, so she's hiding in the bathroom right now.
She's also a big scary chunk monster.
Yeah, she is.
That's how we know we're best friends, is I can get away with calling your cat a big scary chunk
Oh, she's
monster.
a fat sausage.
Okay, what were we talking about? Palm Springs?
Yep.
Something? I don't know. This is what we do here.
Yep.
We're just, yeah, I already threw. Okay, so a thing that I kind of want to talk about that it's gonna make people not like me possibly. But I feel like there's this theme in this movie about kind of subverting the trope of men not growing up in movies, and it being cute that the man is not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that he's like a goofball forever, but like won't be serious
Yeah.
about anything. And it's never about the guy kind of growing up a little bit, and it's about the girl chilling out and accepting him for who he is.
Like there's also like the movie doesn't do this thing. There's cat hair on my chin now. The movie doesn't do the thing where he improves because Sarah nags at him and he gets better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it like it has to do with Sarah in the sense that it has to do with their relationship and what he wants and how he grows. But it doesn't have to do with her directly impacting his behavior by telling him what to do.
Yeah.
If anything, it's the opposite around, where he's the one telling her, we have to care about what we do to people.
Yeah.
So I just feel like this movie does a very good job of kind of subverting that trope of like the man's allowed to never grow up.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like, and that's very much a prominent thing, which I would think that you'd be more offended about as a man, of this idea that like you're allowed to perpetually act like a child and it's fine. But
maybe they just really like acting like a child.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, but like that was just something that I found really enjoyable. And Andy Samberg in particular is really good about that, because Brooklyn Nine-Nine is also about that.
Yeah, definitely. Like he's done, like his character has done a lot of growing up in that show, but like he's not the only one growing up. Like they're all growing up or maturing or learning things in their own way.
Definitely the one doing it the most.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think those were all of my super big academic thoughts.
I just like, I don't know, I pictured like text coming over your head when you said that. Super big academic thoughts.
Yeah, where are we?
38 minutes.
Oh, okay. So we're actually further along than I thought we were.
Yeah.
I was like, is this going to be a 20-minute episode?
No, we talked about some good shit.
Okay. So
it's a delightful movie.
It is. We absolutely encourage everyone to watch it. We hope that you watched it blind before
finishing
the rest of the
episode.
episode.
You watched it, you're not going to have a fun time.
Yeah. I mean, you might have a fun time, but I think you're going to have a less fun time.
True.
Because the movie's still good.
Yes.
But I think it's got some rewatchability.
I'm like tempted to rewatch it like tomorrow.
You might have to, and then also definitely watch the J.K. Simmons scene.
Yeah, oh yeah, right. Can't believe I missed that.
That you apparently missed.
Yeah.
Because you quit too early.
I was very tired.
Aren't you a Marvel fan? Like, why are you quitting so early?
No, I was like very ready for bed. It was, it was 9:30. I'm like 8,000 years old. I have to go to bed. Gosh.
Now I like how there's a teddy bear in your background. Is that a teddy bear or a cat or what is it?
It's a little lion. It's from
Okay.
It's a stuffed animal from the anime Bleach. But
I
tried to get Pixel to like it, but she wants nothing to do with it.
See more things that you have to see if you want to watch us on YouTube, or more things you get to see if you watch us on YouTube.
Our tiny lion with my husband's weeb katanas leaning against his freaking computer. Gosh, I was gonna ask, are we jumping into Star Wars next time, or did we want to talk about Ooblets?
Oh, when is that coming out?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. As in, what day is it? It's Monday. I just like completely lost track of what day it was.
That happens to me every day.
Let me look at the schedule real quick since we're here.
The only thing we had scheduled out was Star Wars movies, I think.
I think we had an episode that had to get timed after that, though. So I'm wondering if we would have to change stuff to do the thingy.
Well, we can probably figure that out and end this. Unless you have final thoughts.
Sorry. No, I don't.
Need to launch discussion. My bad.
Yeah, I think it's a really good movie. I think that it's has a really interesting message. I think it's a lot deeper than I think the initial.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that if you just hear about it, it just seems like it'd be like a fun romantic comedy. But I think it actually has a lot more going underneath under the surface. And
Yeah, yeah. It's a good movie that like it might alter someone's perceptions or behavior like subconsciously. So I feel like lots of people should watch it.
I just feel like it's definitely worth your time. Is
Mhm.
basically
I
so.
completely agree with that.
Again, sorry for the technical difficulties.
And we'll figure out our shit and let you know what we're talking about next
Yeah,
time.
blame Comcast. Comcast is the devil.
Yep, that's our final thought. All right, bye.
Bye.